Today we are going to explore the 5 basic building blocks used to create sentences in English. We will learn how to identify subjects, verbs, objects, and complements to see how they fit together. To start off, the simplest pattern is subject plus verb, where you just have a person or thing doing an action. Can you think of a very short sentence that only has a subject and an action?
Let me think. How about the dog barks? That's just the animal and what it is doing, right?
That is a perfect example, because the dog is your subject and barking is the action he is performing. Now we can make things a bit more detailed by adding a receiver for that action, which creates the subject plus verb plus object pattern. If the students are our subject and they are reading, what is a specific object they might be reading to complete that sentence?
Maybe they are reading a textbook? Or like a comic book? So it would be the students read a textbook. Is the textbook called the object because it's the thing getting read?
Exactly. The textbook is the direct object because it is the thing being acted upon by the verb. Since you have that down, let's look at the third pattern, which is subject plus verb plus complement. In this case, the last word does not receive an action, but instead describes or identifies the subject, like saying she is happy.
Wait, so if I say she is happy, happy isn't an object? I guess that makes sense because she isn't doing something to the word happy, it's just how she feels. But what about something like, he is a doctor? Is the doctor still a complement since it's just saying who he is?
Spot on. In that sentence, doctor is a complement because it identifies who he is rather than being something he is acting upon. Before we move on to the next pattern, could you give me a quick example of a sentence that uses a complement to describe a physical quality of a person or thing?
Let me try. If I say, the ocean is cold, does that work? I am describing the water instead of the water doing something to the coldness. Is that right?
That is exactly right. The ocean is not performing an action on the coldness. The word cold is simply describing the state of the ocean. Now that we have covered those 3, let's explore a pattern used when something is being transferred. Subject plus verb plus indirect object plus direct object. Think of a sentence like, the teacher gave students homework.
Wait, that one feels a bit more crowded. So in the teacher gave students homework, I see 2 things after the verb. I get that the homework is the direct object because that is what was actually given, but what exactly makes the students an indirect object? Is it just because they are the ones who ended up with the homework?
That is a great way to put it. The indirect object is the person or thing that receives the direct object or benefits from the action. Who or what is usually getting the item being handed over in these types of sentences?
Oh, I see. So it is usually like a person, right? Like if I said, my mom bought me a snack. I am the one getting the snack, so I would be the indirect object and the snack is the direct object? Does it always have to be in that specific order where the person comes first?
You hit the nail on the head. In this specific pattern, the person receiving the item typically comes right after the verb and before the thing being given. To make sure we have this pattern down, can you try creating a sentence where a friend gives someone a gift?
Okay. Let me think of one. How about my friend sent her brother a postcard? In that one, the brother is the person getting it, so he is the indirect object, and the postcard is the item being sent, which makes it the direct object. Did I get the order right?
You nailed the order perfectly. Her brother is the indirect object, and the postcard is the direct object, since it is the thing actually being sent. We have finished the first 4 patterns, so let's try a quick check before we hit the last one. In the sentence, the chef cooked the family a meal, who is the indirect object and is the direct object?
Let me think. The meal is the actual thing the chef made, so I think the meal is the direct object. And since the family is who gets to eat it, the family must be the indirect object. Is that right?
That is spot on. You correctly identified the family as the recipient and the meal as the item being created. Now we are moving on to our final major pattern, which is subject plus verb plus object plus complement. In this case, the complement describes or identifies the object instead of the subject.
Wait, that sounds confusing. How can a word describe the object instead of the person doing the action? Can you give me an example? I'm trying to picture it, but I keep thinking of the earlier one where the ocean was cold. How is this different?
Think of the sentence, they elected him president. Here the word president is not describing the people who voted. It defines what the object, him, became. It is like the word cold describing the ocean, but now it is describing the person who received the action instead. Does that help you see the difference?
Oh, okay. I think I'm starting to get it. So in my other example where the ocean was cold, the word cold was linked back to the subject. But in this new one, it's like the verb causes the object to be described in a certain way. Let me try to make one up. What if I say, we painted the house blue? In that case, we are the subject and the house is the object we are painting. And since blue describes the house and not us, would blue be the complement for the object?
You have it exactly right. The word blue tells us the new state of the house, which is the object being painted, rather than describing the people doing the work. To wrap up our 5 patterns, let's do a quick check. If I say, the judges call the singer wonderful, what word is the complement and what is it describing?
The word wonderful is the complement, and it is describing the singer. The judges aren't wonderful, well, maybe they are, but the sentence is specifically saying that the singer is the one who is wonderful. Am I right that the singer is the object here?
You are exactly right that the singer is the object being described as wonderful. Now that we have covered all 5 patterns, let's look at how to identify them in any sentence. You can simply ask yourself 4 questions. Who or what is involved? What is the action? Who or what receives that action? And does anything describe or identify the subject or object? If you were looking at a brand new sentence, which of those questions would you ask first to get started?
I think I would start by asking who or what is doing the action, since every sentence needs someone or something to be the main focus. So I would look for the subject first. Does that sound like a good starting point? Or is it better to find the verb first to see what's actually happening?
Finding the subject first is a great way to start because it tells you who the sentence is about. After that, finding the verb is the perfect next step to see what that subject is actually doing. Since you have a solid grasp on all these building blocks, you are ready to decode almost any sentence you see. You did a great job today.